Mr. President, it sounds like India is taking all the American jobs.
Madam Secretary, the Indians are taking all the jobs.
Mr. President, what are we going to do about it?
Madam Secretary, the Indians are taking all the jobs, and the only thing we can do is go to India to visit.
Mr. President, how will that help?
Madam Secretary, the Indians are taking all the jobs, and the only thing we can do is go to India to visit, and if they like us, in a few years we can also get jobs in India.
Mr. President, I don't want a job in India. Isn't there anything we can do to keep the jobs in the United States?
Madam Secretary, the Indians are taking all the jobs, and the only thing we can do is go to India to visit, and if they like us, in a few years we can also get jobs in India. The only way to have any jobs in the United States is for all the jobs to go to India first, then it will be cheaper for India to outsource to the United States. Then the United States will have all the jobs because the American worker will be hired by the Indian company.
Mr. President, why can't we come up with a solution to stop that and move the jobs back from India now?
Madam Secretary, the Indians are taking all the jobs, and the only thing we can do is go to India to visit, if they like us. In a few years we can also get jobs in India. The only way to have any jobs in the United States is for all the jobs to go to India, then it will be cheaper for India to outsource to the United States. Then the United States will have all the jobs because the American worker will then be employed by the Indian company. There is no way to stop it because we took American tax dollars and provided them to India. They used the tax dollars to attract American businesses. Since we gave India the tax dollars and they used them in a smart way, we cannot compete. We have no tax dollars to spend in order to attract American businesses.
Mr. President, if we gave the tax dollars to India and now they can't afford to pay it back, why shouldn't we demand it back so that we can keep the American businesses in the United States?
Madam Secretary, the Indians are taking all the jobs, and the only thing we can do is go to India to visit, if they like us. In a few years we can also get jobs in India. The only way to have any jobs in the United States is for all the jobs to go to India, then it will be cheaper for India to outsource to the United States. Then the United States will have all the jobs because the American worker will then be employed by the Indian company. There is no way to stop it because we took American tax dollars and provided them to India. They used the tax dollars to attract American businesses. Since we gave India the tax dollars and they used them in a smart way, we cannot compete. We have no tax dollars to spend in order to attract American businesses. The Indians do not need to pay back the American tax dollars. The President Bush gave the tax surplus to the Indians, the Iraqis, and the Halliburton. The President Bush spent all the tax dollars, whereas the Indians invested the tax dollars.
Mr. President, are you saying the President Bush gambled with the American tax dollars and lost, when at the same time the Indians invested the American tax dollars and grew their economy to take away future tax dollars from United States? If so, is that not the same thing the President Bush Sr. did with the Saudi Arabia and the Kuwait?
Madam Secretary, the President Bush and the President Bush Sr. were very generous with the American tax dollars. The Donald Rumsfeld and the Dick Cheney advised the Indians and the Iraqis and the Halliburton how to invest the American tax dollars.
Mr. President, if the Dick Cheney and the Donald Rumsfeld were advising the Indians, the Iraqi, and the Halliburton, then who was advising the President Bush?
Madam Secretary, the President Bush was being advised by the Jack Daniels. The Jack Daniels told the President Bush to give away the hard-earned money of the American taxpayers to his friends so that they could buy private jets. The private jets were then used to travel to the Saudi Arabia to visit the oil.
Mr. President, while the President Bush was doing this, where were the American people? Where was the Congress and where was the Senate? Shouldn't someone have tried to stop the President Bush from using the tax surplus this way?
Madam Secretary, the President Bush bought the election. The President Bush was using 9/11 as a justification. He was scaring the American people, the Congress, and the Senate. Everyone was afraid to criticize the President Bush because the 9/11 scared us all.
Mr. President, it sounds like what is done, is done. We need a solution that will fix this situation. Why are we not talking to the people about keeping jobs in America?
Madam Secretary, Talking to the people about keeping the jobs in America is not something we can do. We can cut taxes, we can extend health care, we can fix the discrimination in the military, but we have no money to compete with the Indians for jobs.
Mr. President, I think we can find the money. We need to ask the rich people in this country to contribute more. Anyone who makes over $1 million should surely be able to afford a few $1,000s more in taxes per year.
Madam Secretary, that sounds good on paper, but the people who make that kind of money are the same people that funded the election of the President Bush, and then in November 2010 the Republican Congress. If we turn on them, we will lose our jobs in the White House and have to move to India in the near future.
Mr. President, if that is the case, then eventually when all the jobs leave the United States, even the people who make over $1 million per year will be poor. There will be no money in the pockets of the people to buy the oil. They will have no reason to even use the oil because they will not have jobs to drive to, and then the rich people will also become poor.
Madam Secretary, you are very wise. That is correct, and that is the only hope for the United States, for the poor to become desolate to the point where the rich no longer make money, and they also become poor. Then and only then will the Indians see that they can outsource to the United States to obtain cheap labor and cheap rent for their factories.
Mr. President, if that is the case, then the Indians will not have clients anymore because all their clients are the American businesses. If those businesses don't survive because the American consumer lacks the purchasing power, then the jobs in India will also go away.
Madam Secretary, I am sorry to say that you are correct. The end of the world is upon us. The only hope is that the Chinese people have the buying power, and that buying power will support the jobs in India. Then and only then will the jobs in China be outsourced to India, and India will then outsource the jobs to the United States.
Mr. President, is there nothing we can do to prevent this?
Madam Secretary, I am sorry to say that the only way to correct this situation is to use a time machine to allow a count of the votes in Florida. The Al Gore promised to put the tax surplus in a lockbox. If we had that surplus in the lockbox today, we would be able to keep all the jobs in the United States.
Mr. President, there is no time machine available, but I think there is another option. I've been listening to the James Harrington. The James Harrington says that if we create tax disincentives to outsourcing, we can stop the bleeding of jobs to India. The James Harrington also says that if we make the President Bush tell Saudi Arabia and Halliburton to pay us back for the tax dollars he gave them, then we might have some money to start making jobs in America. The James Harrington also says that the mortgage crisis is killing America. He says that we have the power to save all the mortgages, but changing the terms of them to lower the payments by extending the number of years people have to pay them back. The James Harrington does not understand why the government is not doing anything for the people. The James Harrington understands the need for the bailouts of the banks, but the James Harrington does not understand why the government is not helping the people with what they need.
Madam Secretary, I don't know who the James Harrington is. If he is just one of the people, I doubt anyone will listen to him.
Mr. President, the James Harrington is not alone in his frustration. His views are echoed by many people. I want to do something about this. I want to talk to the people like the James Harrington about their ideas to help save the American jobs. If people have no jobs, they can't afford the mortgage, then the house forecloses. When the house forecloses, it hurts the people who still have jobs that are trying to sell their homes for either retirement or to move to areas where more jobs exist. This is a vicious cycle. It is our responsibility to listen to the people like the James Harrington. We should stop interest on all student loans. None of the graduates are getting jobs. We should change the terms of the mortgages to make them more affordable, and we should get the hard-earned tax money back from all those countries out there that just keep taking and taking U.S. taxpayer money. It's time to call in all those loans and get America back on track again. They are not good allies if they can't pay back the money when we need it. The bank bailout only fixed the symptom. It did not fix the problem. If we restore the ability of the people to pay back the mortgages, then the value of the mortgage-backed securities will stabilize. Then the banks will be in better shape because they will no longer need to write off the mortgages. There will always be some people that cannot pay the mortgages because they lost their jobs, But if we create a formula based upon a percentage of income, we could save many homes in America. I know people consider that to be a radical idea, maybe even socialist idea, but isn't it a more radical idea to allow all of the American jobs to go to India on our watch? Desperate times require desperate measures. Our pride American capitalism should not prevent us from helping the people we were elected to protect. Even if we get to the point where the people stop buying the oil, I still doubt the rich people will listen. They don't understand how our economy is like an ecosystem. If all the little fish have no homes and no food, then the big fish will have nobody to their bidding. Without the little people, the entire economy will fail. Someone needs to deliver the milk, stock the shelves at the grocery store, and fix your car when it's broken. But if only a handful of rich people have all the money, all of those little people will lose their jobs. All the small businesses will close, including the gas stations that buy the oil to sell to the people. Someone needs to stand up and explain this to the talking heads on all these news shows. We need to get working on this now. We can't wait any longer. I have nothing against India. In fact, I think they've obviously made good decisions. Maybe we should be employing some of their people in the White House to help us turn things around.
Madam Secretary, I wish you luck, but I don't see why anyone in India would want to work in the White House. It is a thankless job, and in the future the job will likely be outsourced to India. If someone in India really wanted to work in the White House, they might as well just wait a little longer until the White House job shows up on the job posting board in Bangalore.
I have to go public with this situation. The CNN, the Fox News, the MSNBC, the Brian Williams, the Anderson Cooper, the Keith Olbermann, one of them will listen to me. They must.